Governor Kathy Hochul.
Hello, Schenectady. Great to be here in this beautiful venue space, Proctor's Theater and the many theaters under the guidance of Philip Morris, our treasures that we just never will take for granted. I've been in many of the productions and performances, so make sure you all come back and pay next time, okay? All right. So also we have some incredible leaders here. I want to thank our amazing mayor, Gary McCarthy, for all his leadership here. We just came up from Mohawk Harbor, and it's absolutely unrecognizable from what it was just a few short years ago. It is astounding, and to me, as an upstater who lived during decades of decline, to see a community like Schenectady have a vision and actually execute it with the great leaders we have here. I want to thank them, and Gary Hughes from the legislature, our chairman. I think we have Pat Fahey for the Senate has joined us. Pat, good to see you. Angela Santa Barbara has joined us from our state legislature. Phil Steck has joined us. I want to thank all of them for what they do in our state legislature as partners to drive change and support the initiatives that I'm talking about here today. And also individuals who are friends of mine. Mario Salento, one of the nation's great labor leaders. We are so fortunate to have him as our own. Let's give him a round of applause, Mario Salento. Heather Mulligan, the President and CEO of the Business Council of New York State. Let's give her a round of applause. Ashley Ranslow, the Director of the National Federation of Independent Businesses, representing our small businesses. Ashley gets a round of applause as well. And the owner of Simone's Restaurant, where everybody better head after this. You open for lunch? There you go. There you go. Make your reservations. I'm always promoting my local businesses. This is a great day for many reasons, but one is that we finally able to do something after years of being asked by our friends in the business community and our friends in the labor community to lift a burden that was out there through nobody's fault. Direct result of the pandemic was that our unemployment insurance fund, which had always been healthy, literally ran out of money. We had so many New Yorkers as the epicenter of this pandemic, from New York City all the way up to the North Country, that lost their jobs. And what was the recourse? They had to collect unemployment insurance. Many of them never dreamed they'd be waiting in that line. It was a difficult time for our state. And the challenge is that we went into debt, had to borrow money, and as a result of that, over $7 billion has been on the backs of our business communities to pay that back. And when I talk to business leaders and talk to Ashley and Heather about this weight, especially now, think about this. All the unanticipated costs that our business community has to go through. They didn't ask for tariffs. They didn't ask to go to war with Canada, a $50 billion trading partner, and they've basically closed their doors out of frustration. They're not coming and visiting either. They didn't ask for higher costs for everything. They didn't ask for inflation, and it just seems unending. And why this is something I can relate to, right out of law school, my mother, who had no business experience but had a passion, she always wanted to do good for people and bring beauty in their lives. And she says, I'm going to start a flower shop. Mom, you don't know anything about flowers. We don't even arrange flowers at home. But she thought that if she could bring the gift of beauty into people's homes, and she also wanted to hire what were known as displaced homemakers at the time. She had been counseling women for decades, especially those in abusive homes, and she wanted to give them a job to get out of their circumstances. So here I am, right out of law school. Did not want to tell my mother that they don't teach you things like how to start a business in school, as much as your parents would think you'd come home with some knowledge. So we put it together. We started a little business in downtown Hamburg, New York, at a time when if the signs in front of the stores did not say out of business, their handwritten signs said, discount on beer because everybody needs it. I mean, it was a tough time for our economy, from Schenectady to Buffalo. So knowing that the cost that my mother was always struggling with and looking at the bills as they added up for having to pay for everything, but she ended up, it's still there today. Mom isn't, but the business is there. I have a depth of appreciation and affection for all the risk takers, like Bashar, who are not afraid to put their money out there and their resources and their reputation and to try to build something. And whether they're small businesses or the larger businesses, and guess what? No large business started out large. They all start out small. And if they're nurtured and get support from a government that believes that government should be on your side, not on your back, they can prosper. But sometimes the winds of change are out there. They're so strong, they can sweep you away. And I just don't want to let that happen here in New York. People have worked too long and hard, and I have such respect for that. So it is this burden that has been on their shoulders, but it also had another impact which was just as devastating. When people lose their jobs, and we've been fearing a recession for a long time, not sure what's going to happen, especially now. If there's a recession and there's anywhere near the firings and layoffs that occurred when I was growing up, when unemployment was 14, 15%, we need to be able to take care of those families. Or if an individual goes on strike for better wages or better conditions, they need to be able to take care of their families too. And so this is one of those rare opportunities when we have labor and business so aligned and asking me if we can finally lift that debt, pay it off with state resources, pay off that debt. Because as long as that debt was in place, we could not get approvals to finally increase what a family could take home if they're unemployed. And what does that mean? The numbers today have been $504 a week for a family that lost their jobs. Anybody think they can live on that? It's impossible. It's impossible. And we knew we had to do something. So by lifting this burden off our businesses, but also lift a burden off our families who have their primary breadwinner on strike or have lost a job. And that number, because of us working together with Andre Stewart Cousins and Carl Heastie, who helped drive this as well, we got it done. We were able to pay off this $7 billion. And as a result of that, those payments will no longer be $504, but $869. So that's how you take care of people. You find any way you can within your power to just ease the burden on New Yorkers and their families. And we did it together this last budget. I am so proud as the money's starting to flow out there. Just last January, I stood on a stage and said, your family is my fight. And I'll do whatever I can to put more money back in your pockets because I know you're struggling. What do? Families with children under the age of 4 will receive $1,000 tax credit. When I first became governor, that number was 0. I don't need to tell you, as mom governor here, first mom governor, first grandma governor, I know now that the grandbabies at home, how much the diapers and formula are costing. You know, a burden on them is just as it was for me when I was a young wife starting out. So money for families, older children, $500 up to the age of 16, that's money in their pockets. The cost of school breakfasts and lunches, and again, it's a hassle to crack of dawn to figure out, oh my God, we're out of peanut butter. Somebody run to the grocery store. Go to a Price Chopper. We love Neil Gola. You know, you don't have to worry about that anymore because we took that burden off you, but it also does something that is even more important to me. It removes the stigma from those little kids who go to school, and they're the ones singled out in the cafeteria because everyone knows they're the ones who have to get the subsidized lunch or breakfast because their parents are too poor to pay for it. That's a stigma they carry for the rest of their lives, believe it or not. And why do I know this? When I was announcing this on Long Island months and months ago, a Republican senator came up to me and says, I was that little kid who was too embarrassed to be known as the one who needed help, and I skip lunches every day. That's what's no longer gone because we changed that. That makes me so proud. But also an inflation rebate. Now, you want to criticize putting money back in people's pockets? You can take that fight to the closest Target, where I was a couple days ago in Buffalo. They actually sell Buffalo Bills outfits for babies. Got a couple of those. Go there. Go to the little grocery store. I was in the west side of Manhattan yesterday, walked in. Tell those people who are shopping for back to school or the groceries for their dinner tonight that they don't need an extra $400 in their pockets, that you're willing to take it out. Because I'm not. I worked hard to put that in their pockets. And I believe that we have excess money for inflation. You know why we have inflation, extra dollars? Because the price of everything goes up. Therefore, the sales tax goes up, and we collect more than we anticipated. I said, put that back in their pockets. Our families are hurting. We need to be responsive. We need to show we care. We have a heart. And I'll never be among the heartless who don't think they need that money, because they do. And also a middle-class tax rate cut, the largest in 70 years. All that puts together upwards of $5,000 in the pockets of families that are struggling. I'm so happy we could do that. But you know what, my friends? We put $5,000 in. They're saying the costs of tariffs on groceries, and when you go back to school shopping, and there may not be the toys on the shelves you thought you're going to get your kids this Christmas, that is upwards of $4,200 to $6,000. So here it comes in, there it goes out. So we have to do everything in our power to meet New Yorkers where they are. Show some compassion and empathy for them. And I don't have to dig too far back into my family. My parents lived in a trailer park. Dad worked at the steel plant. My brother was born in that little trailer. It was really tiny. I saw the same size when I went back there. They had me in a little apartment and a whole bunch of other kids after us. And we ate those fried Spam sandwiches for dinner because they were cheap. Anybody like those? I once said that, and someone said, what's wrong with Spam sandwiches? I go, sorry. You know, pancakes for dinner, right? Because you could get a box and feed a whole bunch of kids, right? So we stretched things, a lot of coupons. And I had to do that as a young mom myself. So I know what that's like, and I don't want anyone in New York to feel that stress and that anxiety about paying the bills and feeding their families. So we can do something like this. You know, transfer the money from this account that is waiting for a rainy day. I said, guess what, guys? And it really was raining that day. I said, it's raining. It's raining right now. We said that. And we have to do something because it's raining on our people. And I have to protect them. We have to put this umbrella back up and let them know we'll take care of them. And that's why I believe in the nobility of public service, always have, always will. It's in my DNA, and all of our elected officials and community leaders and those who look out for others and the job creators, the business leaders, I respect you, our labor leaders who are fighting for good wages and benefits and work conditions. All of us together make this a fascinating place where at the bottom line of it all, we look out for each other. So that's what this means today. And I'm so grateful you could join us here because this is what government is all about. Crystal clear on this day here in Schenectady. It is happening. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. With that, let me bring up Mario Salento, a great champion for our hardworking members of the labor community, and was a strong, strong advocate to get this done on behalf of labor and also understanding it lift a burden on business as well. So, Mario, take it away.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you so very much. First, Governor, I want to thank you for once again showing that you truly do understand the needs and the concerns of working people and that you have appreciation for that. And thank you for that. We had a lot of conversations on this issue over the last year or two, probably more than you maybe wanted to have had with me, but we had a lot. And every time we spoke, when the conversation ended, you always said Mario, we're going to try to do our best to get this done, to raise this benefit for unemployed workers. And I just want to say that I, and all of us in our movement, so deeply appreciate that it wasn't just words, that you came through with deed and action. And for that, we thank you again, Governor. I will say this. This is obviously a significant increase. Going from 504 to 869, that's a 70% increase. And I think what's more impressive is that it's all at once. There is no phase in here. September 30th, it's 504. October 1st, it's 869. That's real, that is significant, and it's tangible. It will help those who are out of work through no fault of their own be able to better meet their responsibilities, to pay their bills. That's tangible, and that's real. But it's even more than that. It's something I think that gets overlooked a lot. I grew up in the Bronx. My father was a member of Local 3 of the IBEW. He was a rank and file member. And I remember as a young boy him being out of work 2 or 3 times. And I didn't really understand everything what was happening. But I noticed that when he was out of work, there was always a little bit more tension at home, just a little bit. And I noticed even at that young age that when I looked at him, he was always just a bit more preoccupied. And it was preoccupied for what I realize now as an adult is an obvious reason. The bills keep coming in. You still have to pay the electric bill and the utilities and you have to groceries. And if you have a family, as my father did, you have this responsibility, this obligation to make sure that you continue to keep a roof over your family's head and to feed and clothe your children. That is an enormous responsibility, not having a weekly paycheck coming in. So for those who are in my father's position all these years later, reducing that burden, reducing that anxiety, giving those who are unemployed that peace of mind that, okay, I think this month I'll be able to make ends meet. I think I'll be able to get through until I find that next job is almost as important as the financial aspect of it because it affects your entire family. And I thank you for that as well, Governor. And the last thing is this. We have all seen over the last 7 months what's transpired in Washington. I'm not going to get overtly political here, but I will say this. We have seen between this administration and those who voted for that big, ugly bill last month, we have millions of people across this country who are going to be in danger of losing their jobs. Some of them don't realize it yet. But we do have that danger. And here in New York, we're talking about possibly tens of thousands of New Yorkers who may be out of work as a result of what's happened in Washington these last 30 to 45 days. And I will say this. With this bill, we will be able to possibly insulate them from some of that financial harm, protect them from some of the losses that they will have as a result of what's gone on in Washington. So, Governor, I want to thank you truly for helping to protect the working people of this state from what's gone on in Washington. Thank you for that. And I thank you on behalf of the 2.5 million members of the state AFL-CIO. I thank you for the entire labor movement in this state. But even more than that, this is not just a union issue. This applies to everyone. I thank you on behalf of the 20 million New Yorkers from Buffalo to Brooklyn to Long Island and everywhere in between for your leadership, for your dedication, and for your commitment to working people. Thank you, Governor. And it is now my honor to introduce my friend, Heather Mulligan, the President and CEO of the Business Council of the State of New York.
Thank you. Thank you, Mario, and thank you, Governor. I do owe a thank you also to the Schenectady police officer who pulled me over for illegal right on red, which I did do, in my attempt to find a parking spot to get here, and he very kindly helped me find one and got me here on time. So I do credit where credit is due. I really do owe a huge thank you to the governor, obviously, for very obvious reasons. Her support for this proposal, this would not have happened but for the initiative of the governor's office and the governor herself. So for that, thank you. But I also owe a huge debt of gratitude to Mario Salento and the AFL-CIO for joining with us in trying to address this very serious issue. Since 21, employers have paid an additional $6 billion in unemployment insurance taxes, and we're teed up to pay another $7 billion to get us back to even. And this is now taken care of. And this is an example of good policy. And it's so unusual to see good policy win out over politics, but it can be done. I just got back from the National Association of State Chambers annual meeting, and I got to tell them that one of the things that we accomplished in New York this year is with partnership from our governor, we were able to eliminate $7 billion in future taxes on businesses that now we no longer have to pay. So thank you. Really, really proud of everything that was accomplished here, and my other partners, and I am now, in addition to what will happen in the future, which is the investment that businesses can make and the growth that they can experience because they do not have to pay these taxes. We also will see, I think, a much more resilient economy because of the increased benefit that unemployed workers will receive. So again, very, very pleased and honored to be here. Really great to be able to share such a huge policy victory. And with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Ashley Ranslow, another partner in advocacy, the New York State Director of the National Federation of Independent Business. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather, and good afternoon, everybody. It's so great to be here. It's really an honor and a privilege. NFIB proudly represents 11,000 small and independently owned businesses across New York State, and we are just thrilled to celebrate this victory and this great accomplishment. Thank you, Governor Hochul and your team, for your leadership on this issue, paying off the unemployment insurance debt. This was no easy task. It was a lot of money. We're talking to billions of dollars, but it was a tremendous accomplishment. And thank you to the legislature and many of you here in this room for supporting that effort. For the last 4 years, in the wake of the pandemic, small business owners have been paying higher state and federal unemployment insurance taxes. We're talking hundreds of dollars extra per employee per year that they have shouldered since 2020. And as has been said today, they've paid billions already back towards New York's unemployment insurance debt. And it's a burden that they have bared alone. And as the governor said, with her mom opening her own small business, imagine pursuing your dream, your passion of opening your own small business, putting everything you have into it. And then all of a sudden a global pandemic strikes and you have to shut down and you're not making any money anymore. And you are borrowing money. You're taking on your own debt just to stay afloat, not to expand, not to grow, but just to survive. And so as small businesses were paying off the debt that they incurred while also trying to recover, they were having to pay higher unemployment insurance taxes. It was the worst time for them, and it was when they could least afford it. But now relief is coming, and it's so great to be here to say that small businesses will be able to save hundreds of dollars per employee per year in unemployment insurance taxes. And for the small business owners out there listening, you will not receive that notice in the mail this summer that you owe an extra interest assessment to pay the debt. And I see a lot of heads nodding, right? When you would get those notices in July that you had a payment due in September. You will not get that. And that is because of the hard work of the governor, her team, and so many people in this room to make sure that that could happen. And this is much needed relief for Main Street. Small businesses, they are the movers and shakers of the state's economy. And they are what bring so much life and vibrancy to our downtowns and our neighborhoods. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can, that they keep the lights on, they keep the storefronts occupied, and we keep New York State's economy moving in the right direction. And this money in their pockets will let them invest in their workforce, let them grow, let them expand, let them contribute to their communities, and let them continue to contribute to the local charities and youth programs. This is a great win for Main Street. And again, thank you, Governor. Thank you, everyone here. I'm so happy we got to celebrate this together. And it's my pleasure to now introduce Bashir, a small business owner of Simone's Kitchen. So Bashir, thank you.
All right, good afternoon. I have to say this every time I get a mic. Shout out Schenectady. Thank you to the governor and the governor's team for picking this beautiful venue today. Shout out to all of the Schenectady heroes here, the mayor's office, Metroplex, Superintendent Dr. Cotto, of course, Assemblyman Angela Santa Barbara. You guys are the Schenectady heroes, and I'm very proud that this is happening here today. So first off, what an honor to be here today to represent small and local business across upstate New York. Many of my colleagues, many of them my friends, many of them entrepreneurs I've never met before, but whom I share a life with, waking up every day before the sun rises and going to sleep long after it sets just to build something worthwhile. In 2018, my mother Simone and I opened our little Mediterranean eatery in the small town of Coxsackie, about 40 minutes south from here. As of today, Simone's Kitchen now spans across 3 counties and is becoming a beloved local restaurant group. At Simone's Kitchen, there's arguably one thing for us that is more important than serving wholesome food, and that is having a wholesome workplace, one that actually recognizes that our team is the lifeblood of what we do and never takes that for granted. I speak for, I think, all small businesses when I say that we're not looking for sympathy and we're not looking for charity. In fact, for an entrepreneur, one of the most rewarding things is working hard for the dollar that we put in our pocket. At the same time, we're also not looking for the odds to be stacked against us, especially not from our government. And I think that is one thing that Governor Hochul recognizes when she paid off the unemployment debt and allowed that burden to be lifted off the shoulders of us as small businesses, and to be able to take that money and then reinvest it back into what's important to us, which is our people, our team, and our community. To clear the runway of all obstacles and to let small and local businesses be able to take flight and do what they do best, which is build people up and build communities up. No one chose COVID, and small businesses shouldn't have to take on the burden of the unemployment debt that comes on from small business, from COVID. And the government has intelligently and thoughtfully utilized state resources to help small businesses overcome that hurdle. And one day that rainy day fund will be replenished, and we'll be really proud about how the governor spent that money to help small business. By paying off the unemployment debt, Governor Hochul has allowed us to continue growing, continue what we do best. And for Simone's Kitchen, going from a 2-person team to a team of over 100 people this year, we'll be able to save tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly over the next several years, and reinvest it back into the people who run the show and make things happen. So thank you, Governor. So again, on behalf of small businesses, I want to say thank you to Governor Hochul, and to all my fellow small business entrepreneurs. I want to say keep grinding day in and day out. It's worth the grind. Keep doing what you do. And in the end, our government here in New York has our back. So thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our program. Would the speaking program please go back up to the stage for a picture?